Hello, wonderful person. This is Philip, and today I want to address a question that I am sure lots of meditators have in some form. The question is, whenever I start to meditate, lots of thinking, questions, and images keep coming into my mind. Is this a good thing? If so, what can I do with it? If not, what can I do about it, basically? So the first thing I want to say in response to this question is, this is definitely a normal, expected thing. This happens to pretty much everyone. Any meditator, when they first start meditating, all meditators, as far as I know, one of the first things they notice is that it doesn't work the way it's supposed to work. You don't just place your mind on the breath, for example, if the breath is your main object, and it stays on the breath. This does not happen in the beginning. You place your mind on the breath, and maybe a minute later you notice that you've been thinking a lot. You've had all kinds of questions. Maybe there are images coming up. All those things happen. All kinds of distractions happen. Now, the goal of meditation, the reason why you meditate, is you want to get the mind to a state where it is unified and still and rests on the object alone. So where, in the case of the breath, it just looks at the breath and nothing else. So therefore, these other things that come up, the visions, the thoughts, the questions, are not useful. They are not a good thing that you should encourage or feed into. But because they happen to everyone, it's really not a sign of any kind of problem or anything unusual. And you shouldn't actually look at these thoughts and questions and images as your enemy or as a problem in meditation. The best way to handle them is to acknowledge that they're there, but remind yourself, tell your mind that the purpose of this meditation is to focus on the object. On the breath, for example, if you're doing breathing meditation. You can remind yourself of the benefits of meditation and how it will benefit you when the mind focuses more and more and becomes more and more still and becomes more and more able to stay with the breath. I'm using the breath here as an example because that's, I think, how most people start. You can have other objects. You can have loving kindness as an object. You can have the 32 body parts as an object. There are lots and lots of different meditations, but I'm going to use the breath for this because it's a very common meditation object. So just be aware of the fact that your mind should rest exclusively on the breath. Whenever a thought comes up, acknowledge that the thought is there. Don't try to push it away or force it away or anything like that, but just realize that it's there and let it pass on its own. It will go away. If you don't hold on to it and you don't push on it to try to get it to go away, it'll disappear on its own. Also, it depends on how you conceptualize the whole meditation experience, but I think a very useful way of looking at it, of thinking about it, is when a distraction, let's say a thought, comes up, your job is not to destroy that thought or turn away from it or anything like that. Your job is to allow the thought to be what it is, but within your power, within what you can do, you focus on your breath and not that thought. The thought doesn't have to disappear immediately. It doesn't have to do anything. It can stay there, but however you can influence your mind in whatever way you can decide where your attention goes, your attention should go not to any kind of distraction, not to a thought or an image or anything like that, but your attention should be directed at the primary object of meditation. So when these things come up, I would say the best thing to do is to understand that they have arisen in your mind, but to place your attention on the breath and on the breath only, regardless of what the thought or the images might do as a result of that. They might disappear immediately. They might stay there. They might get stronger. Your job is simply to place your attention on the breath again and again and again, Whenever you get the chance, whenever you catch yourself not paying attention to the breath, gently guide your mind back to the breath. That is what you do, and if you do that a few thousand times, it's not going to happen overnight in most cases, but if you do it a few thousand times, your mind will learn slowly to stay with the breath more and more. And eventually, not only will it not pay as much attention to the thoughts and images that come up, but pay more attention to the breath, eventually fewer and fewer other thoughts or images are going to come up, and there will be less and less of this noisy or distracting quality to your meditation, and more peaceful, stillness, calm, and simply unification of the mind, focus of the mind on your breath, on the meditation object. So, to summarize it, what you're experiencing when you are experiencing these distractions is completely normal, and the way to handle them is not even to judge them as good or bad or anything like that, but simply let them be and place your attention on the breath again and again and again. Try to constantly have it on the breath, even if in the beginning, and it usually does in the beginning, even if it means having to place it on the breath again and again and again. Eventually you'll get to a state where you don't have to place it on the breath at all anymore, where it just stays on the breath. But that's for later. It takes at least several months for most people of meditation to get anywhere near that point where they don't have to constantly place the mind on the breath again and again and again. So when you have these distractions come up, they're not your enemy, but they're not useful. You should not feed into them. You should just let them be and keep focusing on your primary object of meditation. I hope this helps. Thank you for watching and have a good day.